Hey gang, it's me, I'm back. It's been a minute since we've done a video. I had stuff to release over the weekend while I was gone, but I wanted to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelation. I know we broke it down in depth on the show. I know you've probably heard it from dozens of other channels, but I really want to give my perspective on this because, do I have some thoughts. You know what? We'll get into it. Monkeys, roll the footage.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch!
Yeah, that works.
I like
all right,
that.
okay. All right, moving on.
Hey, what about Tulip?
I'd really like to start out talking about the cast because this is where my issues begin. And I know it's voice acting and all, but Chris Wood as He-Man and Adam, he was more fitting of the role of Adam than he was He-Man, because this guy, if you actually know what Chris Wood looks like, is just soy bait. Sarah Michelle Gellar is Teela. Sarah Michelle Gellar has that meh delivery that I'd expect from a hag like Teela. And we're going to talk about Teela more in depth later in the review. Lena Headey is Evelyn. While I wasn't fond of the English accent at first, it kind of grew on me after I rewatched it again. So I'll give her more of a pass than I did Mark Hamill, who played Skeletor. And let's be honest, Mark Hamill, when he voice acts as anybody, is automatically defaults to the Joker. That's how it happens. Even when he was the trickster in Flash, Mark Hamill's still doing that Joker voice. Tiffany Smith as Andra, Teela's quote-unquote partner, fellow scavenger. I'm sorry, they're together. It's okay. Kevin Smith queer-baited multiple times in this show, and we'll touch on that later on in the episode. That's what she said. Diedrich Bader as Trapjaw, King Randor, and a couple other ancillary characters. Diedrich Bader, another one. Great voice actor, great talent. Trapjaw didn't get as much love as I thought he should have. King Randor was still an arsehole, which holds up with the animated series. Liam Cunningham, Man-at-Arms, or Duncan, was great, except Duncan was ineffectual and weak, even though they made him look really strong in the Most Dangerous Man in Eternia episode. They still kind of gave him that, you have to apologize to your super strong independent daughter. Whatever. We'll get into that later with the Teela stuff. Susan Eisenberg as Sorceress. No issue here. She was great. Dug the performance. Dug the character design. Very true to the original. Justin Long is Roboto. I like the Roboto character a lot. I do. One of my favorite action figures from when I was a kid, just because of the character design. And, Justin Long was good. I had no issue with his performance. Griffin Newman is Orko. I liked Orko. It really made me sad when he died. Oh, yeah, the spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it yet, you're probably not going to watch it, so spoilers don't matter. Kevin Michael Richardson is Beast Man. He was fine. No issue. Beast Man looked great. Henry Rollins is Triclops. Triclops, another one of my favorite villains, but I did not like the pointy hat he wore. Kind of looked like a dunce cap. I know you're a cult leader and all, but, come on. Do better, Henry Rollins. Stephen Root as Cringer, Battle Cat. Stephen Root's voice acting, I don't even need to touch on that because you guys are already familiar with it. Adam Gifford as Vicar. Don't care. Dennis Haysbert is King Grayskull. Dennis Haysbert, wonderful actor, great, amazing, rich, deep voice. King Grayskull's not black. Sorry about that. We'll talk about the race swaps later on. Jay Tavar is Wondar. Don't care. Alan Oppenheimer as Moss Man. 3 episodes. They killed Moss Man off with little to no fanfare. Okay? They were like, oh yeah, Skeletor's like, oh yeah, Moss Man, sets him on fire. You die first. And then burns him to death. And then it's like you get him later on. You get 3 episodes that Moss Man features in. Alan Oppenheimer still does the Skeletor voice at the cons. I really wish they could have talked him into doing it one more time for the show. Cree Summer is Priestess, and Kuduk, I don't care. Kevin Conroy is Merman. What a waste of a wonderful voice talent from Batman fame. Jason Mewes as Stinkor. He was in 2 episodes. Phil Lamar is Hero. Phil Lamar, another wonderful voice actor. Didn't really care about the character because he was such an afterthought and he was only there in that 1 episode. when they went to Preternia. Alicia Silverstone is Queen Marlena. She was fine. Tony Todd is Scareglow, the Candyman himself. And then Elena Harley Quinn Smith, I have no idea who that was. I can't remember, and I really don't care. This voice cast was very talented. I really didn't think anybody was mismatched with their roles except for Mark Hamill, which I know people are going to be like, what are you talking about? He's awesome. I'm not saying he's not great at what he does. All I'm simply saying is his voice acting is too Joker-ish as Skeletor. But, I mean, he defaults to the Joker in every voice acting gig he takes. So, as long as the producers are all right with it, I don't like it personally, because I would like some differentiation between the characters, because Skeletor and the Joker are vastly different characters. But let's move on with the review. That's the cast, and we'll talk about some of them a little bit more individually as we get into their characters. Unfortunately, this is the point in the video where we have to talk about this blubbering idiot Kevin Smith and how he lied about the beats of the story, tried to shame Clownfish TV because they caught on through their inside sources over a year ago, pre-release for this, which I'm sure incensed Kevin Smith, who was brought on to this as a figurehead only, to be this public whipping boy, to defend the product publicly, in the inevitability that people caught on to the fact that He-Man is not the central character of this story. It is all about Teela. And that the synopsis gave that away and directly contradicted everything that Kevin Smith had said that was contrary. So that really took me out of the show from the very beginning. Before it even started, was the fact that you're not going to feature He-Man in a Masters of the Universe show. So the beats of this story are really off because you're dealing with a Masters of the Universe show where He-Man is gone. You've been bait and switched completely, and you're stuck with this androgynous, intersectional feminist side-shaved Teela who has arms that look like a bodybuilder, which, and I'm someone who doesn't care. I love that look. I completely do. Not the side shaved head. It looks good on some, but the way they designed it in this, they really squared Teela's jaw off and they put her in these dumpy looking pants. And I'm not saying she has to show skin because it's an animated series. What I'm saying is, just be true to the character design. She was feminine before. You tried to make her this warrior, which the look fell flat. She was named Captain of the Guard, finds out Adam is He-Man, freaks out on King Randor, and Man-at-Arms is stripped of his title because he knew he's banished. Orko knew, Cringer knew. They're just, King Randor, and he's a dick to He-Man in this, which is keeping in tune with the story, because he's, why can't you be more like He-Man, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Teela's all this, Teela's all that. And Adam is just this weak, ineffectual beta who, they queer bait him too, because they just give him and Teela these moments where they're talking about certain things, and it's left kind of ambiguous, but at the same time, you kind of know what's being alluded to, especially with Teela and Andra. Andra's one of the race swap characters in this show. She's Teela's companion, and I'll use air quotes when I say companion, because these two are a couple. They look at each other longingly, and the show makes a point to include that. And in animation, that's no mistake, as it is on live action film. You're putting that in to subtly drive home the point that they're a couple, and that's okay, nothing wrong with that. I wish they just would have been more open about it and not race swapped another redhead character. But like Ted Biaselli from Netflix said, do we really need two badass redheads in this show? The answer is yes, Ted, we do, you douchebag. And while we're talking about Andra, we'll bring it back to Teela, and her narcissism really shines through after Adam dies, or He-Man dies, and she finds out that Adam and He-Man are the same person, same as King Randor, who banishes Man-at-Arms for that, but she, castigates his mom and everybody else for not telling her, and his mother knew that He-Man and Adam were the same person, but Teela didn't, so she was incensed at this and furious. And how could you do this to me? Why didn't you tell me? Me. It's all about Teela, and it's that way through the remainder of the show. Even when she meets Adam in Preternia in heaven, and he says something to her, she says, he's like, Teela, I died. And she's like, well, you didn't give me a chance to grieve, and I didn't get to do this, and I didn't get to do that. This is the problem with this character. You could have at least made her somewhat endearing, but you chose to go the other direction and make her a complete narcissistic twat, and that's why she is extremely unlikable. How about when Teela has to go face Scareglow and he wants her fear, and her greatest fear is being too great, too awesome, too strong, too good of a champion, too good at her job. That's Teela's greatest fear. And then, of course, she won't give it to him because she's a strong woman who doesn't have to do anything that she doesn't want to do. And it was just utter cringe that was her greatest fear, was being too good at everything. It's like, we get it. We get it. You want her to outshine every other character in the show. The problem is, you worked so hard at it that everybody hates her now. Seeing Orko and Evelyn work together was kind of nice. Evelyn had some great character development. Orko did too, and it was really sad to see him die at the hands of Scareglow the way he did. You know, just simply because he's a beloved character. You know, a lot of people he annoys. Kevin Smith said he thought he was for babies, but I dug Orko. It made me sad to see him go. But the character development that Evelyn got was really nice. We got to see her kind of go to that babyface side of things where it's like, is she really going to make this turn for good? You know, her and Beastman both, even after all their, you know, loyalty to Skeletor over the years. But no, Orko's death really hit me. It did. I was like, man, he was nice. He was finally showing off a little bit of his magic ability, you know, outside of the parlor trick stuff, and it was working. And then, you know, he just wasn't strong enough to hold off Scareglow. And when he died, I was like, are they really going to do this? Man-at-Arms, Duncan, the father of Teela, he was dismissed from his position after, obviously, King Randor found out that he knew He-Man was Adam, and he was being replaced by Teela as Man-at-Arms anyway, giving her that mantle and title, which was kind of funny. But throughout the series, he got a little bit more shine than some of the other male characters did, but still he was reminded and put in his place a few times along the way, because you are a toxic male and you have no place trying to be a strong male character in a show that has no male lead characters. Yeah, that's something we're going to talk about. But Duncan also created Roboto, who is an integral part of the story when it came to reforging the two power swords. And I really liked Roboto. I liked the fact that he called, you know, he was like Teela, you know, her brother, quote unquote. Roboto was a very cool character. Just the design, and Justin Long did a good job with it. I had no issue there at all. But Man-at-Arms, like I said, he looked strong. He came in, he took out Triclops' cult, you know, to save the magic water at that little village. But still, at the same time, he was constantly, you know, emasculated. And Cringer looked great. He held true to form in both forms, pardon the expression. But no, as Cringer, he was good. As Battle Cat, what we did get to see him, which wasn't very much, he still looked great. So I think that this character was one of the very few that was done well, with no major issues or, you know, changes to his attitude or outlook or personality overall from the original series. Also, as I said earlier, I didn't believe Alan Oppenheimer's character of Mossman got the respect he deserved. In one instant, he is the living forest in the basement of Castle Grayskull, which made no sense, not who Mossman's character was. Next thing you know, Skeletor is burning him to death, and we don't see him again until we go to Preternia, when Adam gets to talk to him for a few moments. And I just thought this was a disservice to Alan Oppenheimer. It's a disservice to the character of Mossman, and it just seemed odd to me to see what they did with this character in the story. As for the quote-unquote rogues gallery of Skeletor, I thought it was kind of cool seeing Clawful and Spikor. I was really disappointed when I found out that it was Skeletor and Evelyn and, Fakor as He-Man when they snuck into Castle Grayskull, because I'm like, are we really going to get these two characters in a cartoon? That would be great, because their designs are so cool and their colors contrast so well. It just looks neat on screen together in the animation style. Also, getting to see Beastman be a literal beast and not just He-Man's punching bag to throw around was great. And he was so protective of Evelyn out of his fierce loyalty to Skeletor. Even after Skeletor's demise, Beastman continued to look out for Evelyn. And I thought that was neat. It was a cool protector dynamic, and his character, they did a really good job of making him look strong. I will say that is a positive about his character, at least. It's always been a toss-up between Triclops and Trapjaw, and who was my favorite villain. And Triclops in this, I dug the cult leader thing. I didn't really think the hat was too neat, but they were using the rotating vehicles, of which I still have a vintage. And Triclops, I need that figure. But Henry Rollins did a great job with the voice, and his tech cult was kind of neat, and it was a cool contrast to the otherwise magical happenings in Eternia. The fact that they turned away from that and turned to technology was a kind of a cool nod in the story, I thought anyway. Of course, they still make Trapjaw look like an idiot. He almost loses an eye to Andra, gets knocked out by Man-at-Arms, and then, of course, Teela just beats his ass because he's an idiot, and he's big, and she's a woman, and it doesn't matter how big a man is, they can never beat a woman in any of these shows, because God knows, women can punch men in the face all day, but if you show a man hitting a woman, oh my God, it's over, even if she's the aggressor in the situation. Last but not least, I should probably get to He-Man, who, when he was in He-Man form, looked great. The transformation sequences looked great. I really liked that. I liked the music, the score around it when he did his transformation. He looked great. The voice acting for me was a little off. It kind of took me out of it because I know what the actor looks like. Didn't jive for me. But what I did find funny was that they changed Adam, made him smaller compared to He-Man, which works a little bit with the subterfuge part of it. Before everybody found out that Adam was He-Man, it worked better with him being smaller. I know a lot of people were freaking out initially because they put the H on He-Man's chest, which wasn't done on some of the action figures, except for the later versions of it. What I had a problem with was them killing him off twice already. The last one was mid-transformation, right before Skeletor became the all-powerful Skeletor monster. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot one more little important piece of information about He-Man is that he is black now. So there's that, right? I don't need to cover any articles when it comes to this show. You guys know, you guys have seen what's going on in the press about this. Kevin Smith telling people to grow the fuck up. Kevin Smith crying, Kevin Smith whining, Kevin Smith making excuses, Kevin Smith lying again, Kevin Smith lying again. This show has divided a fan base again, which, I mean, it seems to be standard operating procedure for the weirdos in Hollywood to want to take a pre-existing property, take the fan base that loves it, split it down the middle, make half of the fans hate what your new woke garbage is, and then turn around and call those fans man babies, neckbeards, incels, trolls, Russian bots, etc., alt-right, whatever epithets you can think to throw out. That's what they do. And that's okay because they're doing it from their faux moral high ground, right, Kevin Smith, you piece of shit? So, I don't know. I don't think that this show's very good overall, really, I don't. The audience score being at a 30-some% is fairly accurate to the quality of the content that we got. Not from an aesthetic. The aesthetics are beautiful. The problem lies in the devil's in the details, as they say. And it is in the characters. And Sarah Michelle Gellar's just piss poor flat delivery as Teela is just insufferable to listen to. Much as Teela's character is insufferable to just look at and watch and see how everybody has to, placate her and kowtow to her. Oh, wait, they don't. And that's why she's such a whiny bitch in this show. So I didn't really like it. Like I said, I can glean some positives from it, but others I really had trouble with. And then my biggest issue was sitting there, and I watched the 5 episodes twice. I watched them with my son, and he was like, Daddy, why isn't He-Man in this? Where's He-Man? You know, he didn't complain that there was no male lead characters in the show. He's 6 years old. He doesn't really, that doesn't track yet. But he did ask where He-Man was 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, well, buddy, this is the way the story goes. And he was just kind of like, huh. So afterwards, I put on the 1983 Filmation show, and we watched it for 4 hours, and he was enthralled the whole time as we laid on the floor, the living room floor. Those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, and saw us playing with my vintage Masters of the Universe toys, which are his. They're in his room. He's got a tote with all of them in there, vehicles, everything, Battle Cat, all that stuff. So that's it, guys. This is my Masters Universe review. I didn't mean to make it drag on as long as I did, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that I was thorough with it. I recently had a complaint saying that I put too many jokes in my reviews, and it's not thorough enough for real fans of the show that I was reviewing. So I hope I covered it well enough for you guys. If you're so inclined, let today be the day you hit that subscribe button. Bitch slap the like button for me on the way out the door. Hey, I hope you enjoyed. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't do this. So, with that being said, I'm Temple Queen of the Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of yous. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. And remember, it's better to burn out than fade away. No, it's great. We literally have He-Man is now black due to his lineage, and they race swap King Grayskull. Teela's a guy. Adam is more of a bitch than ever because he was at least big before, but now he's small. I don't know. I don't know what you want from me. Duncan, they cut him. Merman, I didn't even mention Merman. I know, right? Kevin Conroy. No, the second half, I'm not looking forward to it at all. It's going to be a dumpster fire. That's it. We're done. The outtakes are over.